Hello, guys. This is Grandmaster Eugene Perelshteyn, and welcome to today's lecture. Let's get some more people joining us here, and we can begin. Okay, first, let me just make sure everybody can see and hear me okay. Please let me know in the chat. As always, I will be asking you guys questions, and please answer in the chat. Yes, perfect. All right, so let's get maybe one more minute for everyone else to trickle in here. And the theme of today's lecture is defending practical endgames where we're clearly worse. So the skill of defense in chess, especially in endgames, is very important. And I will share with you some of the games from my student, some of my own games, and hopefully you guys will see the key ideas that saved Black from being completely lost. All right, so let's start. All right, so first position here. Okay, I want to hear the eval. So white to move. What do you think the eval is? So clearly we're going to look at it from Black's perspective because we are worse. We are pawn down. So by eval, I mean, is it an easy win for white? Is it a draw? Is it a difficult win for white? Kind of like, I want to get your opinion, how comfortable you are with this position. Difficult win for white. Okay, let's see what some other people are saying. Hello. All right, so we're looking at this position, guys, if you're just not joining us. And I'd like to hear your eval. Okay, Owen says 0-0-0, draw dead. Dead draw, you mean? Wow, okay. More likely to draw, hard slightly better for white. Okay, let's get some more people opinion. 0.5 or something, so white's a bit better. I'm not sure about 0.5. I mean, there's a really extra pawn here, right? Maybe +1, okay. Interesting that so far I haven't actually seen the correct answer in the chat. Okay, one person did say, actually two people said no. Yeah, so two people said easy win for white is, maybe easy is too strong a word, but it's definitely a win for white with best play. So when you reach this position, let me just quickly flip the board. As white, it should be pretty straightforward plan to activate your king, maybe try to play f3 if the pawn is attacked, eventually play f4, run the pawns, create a passer, and win the game. Well, it's easier said than done. Objectively, white is winning, as we discussed. Now, let's talk about practical chances, right? After all, our opponent may be tired. In this case, my student who is playing Black told me that his opponent is in time pressure. And especially with the modern time controls, 90 plus 30, it's very, very typical to be in white in time pressure for white here. So again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about practical defense, how to try to save almost losing positions or even objectively losing positions. And we're going to take this game as an example. All right, so white actually played really well for a while. And let's take a look how white accomplished this goal. So first, king c2. I hope this move doesn't need to be explained. Most players understand that you need to activate the king in the endgame. One of the major problems here, guys, for Black is what? Well, obviously, you're pawn down, but what is the classic rook and pawn endgame technique to try to hold worse endgames? You can answer in the chat. What is Black's major problem here? Black's king is cut off. Yeah, the king is really cut off, but that's not the main problem. There's something else going on here for Black. Yes, Owen is correct. Rook is passive. We need to get an open file if we can, but the only open file is completely locked up, and we can never play c5. And the d file is not going to help you, right? Even though white has we call this IQP. This IQP is not a weakness. One can argue that it's a strength, right? It keeps the rook protected. The king is walking in. So black's major problem is this rook, okay? White's technique, okay, has to be activate the king, run, try to create a passer on the king side with the pawns, and hopefully convert this endgame. Well, now let's talk about, we unfortunately are put in this position as black. We know that we are lost. Well, we can resign. That's one option, give up. But by now you know that in chess we never give up, we fight, and we need to come up with some kind of a defensive strategy. Okay? So at the moment, we don't really have any active strategy. So we just have to kind of wait and see White's approach. Okay, so this is what my student does. He kind of goes for this wait and see approach. He plays rook f8, logical move. He couldn't find a way to activate the rook, f3. Obviously, rook f4, White's going to play king d3. Again, black just kind of has to wait. So he played a4. Now, again, a4 to many people looks like a do-nothing move. There's really not much going on. But I would say a4 is part of black's defensive strategy. And I'll ask you a question why shortly. First, black kind of shuffles a little bit with rook g8, f4, rook f8, king e3 so far. White could, of course, play king e4. But notice that white is not in a hurry to demonstrate a winning plan. Maybe white wants to win some time on the clock. 30 seconds, remember, gets added. Okay, black is kind of saying, oh yeah, go ahead and convert your extra pawn. King e4, a3. This is an important moment now, guys. a3. Okay? Obviously, white does not want to allow this idea. This rook is now active. This is exactly what white doesn't want to allow. So white simply played b3. Now let me ask you a question. Well, how is this insertion of this pawn to a3 can give us practical hope? Now there's some practical hope. Objectively, we're still lost. But who can tell me why getting that pawn to a3 may be beneficial? Even though there's still no open files on the board. Okay, let's see what people are saying. Rook c8, c5. Well, rook c8, c5 is not going to get you much. If the pawn is on a2 is captured, then we have a strong pawn. Okay, so you're getting closer. Sack on b3, okay. Although I'm not sure how you're going to sack on b3. But you guys are getting closer. Something about this a3 pawn and this weak pawn on a2. Think about it. How does white win the game? White wins the game by pushing the king side pawns, right? Something like this. But in order to push the pawns, at some point, there may be an open file on the king side, either the G file, the F file, or maybe the E file. If black gets one of these open files, black's job is to get the rook as far as possible to G2 or G1, A1 and win the A pawn. And then use the A pawn as the only countermeasure, otherwise you're lost. There's a chance, yes, so you guys are saying there's a chance. In chess, whenever there's a chance, always take it. So a3 is a practical move. Now, I'm not saying that black is already equal. I'm not saying that black has, objectively is drawing. No, black is completely lost. Don't get me wrong. But we're talking about a tiny, tiny practical chance, right? Black finds this. Okay, let's keep going. Rook f8. We're still going back to the wait and see strategy. There are no open files yet. White correctly pushes the pawn. Look at this a3 pawn. We like that pawn, right? Rook g8, we're still going for wait and see strategy. White plays h4, very slow methodical play. I really like how white is playing. So far, perfect technique by white. Okay, now rook f8. White has to make a choice which pawn to push. h5 is the most likely candidate here. Probably other pawn pushes are good, but h5 is very logical. And again, white reacts with a very logical way after rook takes h5. Now, if g takes h, this is what I was talking about. You give black that open try, that open file, all of a sudden, imagine you're being in time pressure. The rook is coming in. You desperately try to stop it with king f3. The rook comes in there. Now, I'm not even sure if white is winning anymore. We have two threats, going after this pawn or going after this pawn. And it's not easy for white to deal with this. So you see, one wrong move already, things are not so clear. So of course, most players, you guys are strong enough, will take with the rook. Why give black that option? And now notice what black says. This pawn is as good as gone on h6. I'm not going to tell you how the game ended. That's going to give away all the fun. All right, so now tell me how black tried to fight back. Right? Rook f6 feels like you're not getting anywhere. All right. Okay, I see some people already getting the right defensive idea here. Okay, you guys are good. Active defense. Rook e8 check. Excellent. Now, again, I'm not saying that after this move, black is drawing. As a matter of fact, white is objectively winning and will be winning for the next few more moves. But we're talking about practical chances, right? After all, white is only human and she may make a mistake. So king d3, logical move. But white is down to 3 minutes on the clock. Little problems, right? 3 minutes on the clock, you don't have time to calculate. You have to rely on instinct. Okay, now we have two moves, guys. Defend the pawn or abandon the pawn and play rook e1. How many of you would play rook e6? How many of you play rook e1? Let me know in the chat. Okay, this one I expect every single person should get right. Uh-oh, one person got it wrong. By now, you should get the point. Yes, this is only going to make things worse because f5 and you're going to go down. Only active plan is rook e1. Yes, white is now up 2 pawns and white takes this pawn with check. You may think, oh, that's it, it's game over. I have no chance. Right? But black says, march forward with the king. Now, what is a good move here for white, guys? What is a good move here for white? Now, white can immediately draw back rook h2, or white could insert this rook h5 check. What is a classy, strong IM, GM level move, even strong master move here? Always try to cut the king. Rook h5 is a very classy move. Just to force this king down, that king's not going to bother us anymore. And here comes the first psychological problem for white. She has no time to calculate. Of course, the most natural move in the world is this. But she started to get scared. It's a defensive move, right? She's worried this rook is going to get active. This rook is going to attack this pawn, this pawn. But of course, if you have even 5-10 minutes on the clock, it's an easy win. For example, rook here, rook there, rook f2. Notice in positions where you are converting, sometimes it's a good idea to give back a pawn to force the opponent's rook on f8. Now that's it. It's game over. White needs to win. What's the easy win here, guys? How should white win the game? Okay, let's give people some time. Yep, really black's only move here is to do this. So king and pawn endgame, just bam, bam, game over. You're gonna win a pawn. So easy win by white. Okay. So she didn't have time to calculate any of this, of course. So she played like this instinctive move, rook e5. That looks good. Still doesn't lose the advantage, right? White is still winning. But it's a little bit of a panicky move because after check, king c3, rook here, all of a sudden, white's got this major headache. The rook is coming here, and the rook is also attacking that pawn. Split-second decision, right? How do you even know which is the right decision? Do you abandon the g pawn and play rook e2, rook f2, right? Do we push g5? White still managed to get this one right. g5 is not a bad move. Okay, guys? But things are getting far from obvious. Up to here, it was kind of easy for white. Now things are not that easy because of rook g2, right? And the reason why this rook e5 move was kind of useless because the king got pushed back, and after rook g2, the a pawn is lost. But we still have two connected passers. So white can still put up pressure. But now, compared to the original position where black had zero counterplay, black starts to get counterplay. Rook f5, still win and move, but I think king b4 is much simpler. And then just f5. Should be an easy win. But, okay, white played it a little bit safe with the rook f5. Rook takes, king b4, rook a1. And now, under so much time pressure, right, white has to make split-second decision. Again, there's not much time to calculate. How would you play here for white? So white to play, what do you think the simplest winning plan is? Okay, let's give people some time to think. So my next move is probably going to be a2. People are kind of all over the map with their answers. And that's what I mean. This is what I mean. Things are already not trivial anymore. People are saying g6, rook c5, king c3, rook f8. The best try here, the winning move is, of course, not rook f6 was playing again, rook f8. That is a clear-cut win. The point is to play rook a8. And that's it. This pawn is lost. It's not going anywhere. It's a win. But again, in a practical game, it's not trivial win, by the way, guys, because there's rook f1 then, right? So white plays, again, this kind of safe move, rook f6 check. Maybe gaining time on the clock, but that's a big mistake. Believe it or not, it's objectively a draw now after king to d5. Remember what I said about active king? Well, here comes the king. The idea is to snap that pawn on d4. Logical move g6, a2, king a3, king takes d4, king b2, black abandons the pawn, and now this position is a draw. Even though white has two connected passers, it seems like f5, rook here, here, f6, rook here, queen, easy win. Well, what can you tell me why this is not the case? Why do you think it's not an easy win? What is white's major problem here? Every piece that black has is more active than white's piece, right, guys? There's perpetual perpetual check rather chances. There's the pass c pawn ideas. There's the active king. So the king is better than white's king. The rook is somewhat better than this rook, right? We can do the check and we can attack the pawn. So every piece that black has is better than white's piece. And black simply played c5. This is an easy draw now. In the game, she played king b2 and she offered the draw. That's not good news, right? When your opponent is winning, and then all of a sudden she messes up, and now with two connected passers, white panics so much that she's afraid she's going to get mated or something, which I can understand. King b2 is a logical idea because I can sense that after king, let's say you play f5, king here, rook here, I can go here, here, and b4. This poor king is about to get mated with b3. So you have to do this. Okay, black has at least a draw with rook check, but maybe I can play for a win with b3. Oopsies. White probably saw this, and now she is completely lost. Well, yeah, I would not decline the draw. I mean, maybe you can decline the draw, but yeah, objectively, it's a draw after king b2. Let me go back here. Probably black has many moves that draw. The simplest is c4. I think takes, f5, check. And if you go down, that king is not very safe. If you go here, let me think, what would be the simplest way? King c3. Maybe. I'm not sure about king c3. Actually, I'm not sure if I wanted to insert the check. Maybe I'll do this check. I think this may be easier because you have to keep your king close. And if you do this, actually, maybe you can do this, this, and this. Still not that trivial because now you can give me checks. Not sure if this is a draw or not. What do you guys think? Maybe there's a simpler draw after f5. Let's think about this. c3. What's the simplest possible draw? c3 or rook check? Obvious draw. So both seem drawish to me. Rook g2 or c3. I'm not sure which one is simpler. This feels like a draw. King c3. Okay, let's say I play, I don't know, some rook move. Like rook where? Rook here. Of course. Now you have some cool ideas. You have this idea because of the mate, right? So he can't move the pawn. So it's actually maybe this is the simplest. Keep the king and a mate in that. Put pressure on these pawns. If rook here, we can even go rook back there. So if king here, we always have a repetition. Yeah, so both probably are easy. So what are the lessons from this example? Let's go back to the very beginning and get the lessons here. White did everything perfectly. King c2 is great. f3 is fine. King here is fine. f4 is fine. King e3, okay, fine. King e4 is fine. a3 though, maybe white could have tried to play a3 here to not worry about black playing a3. That's my first sort of quick lesson. Why did you give black that a3 pawn? So that's number one. Number two, okay, you allow this a3. Okay, so you're still winning. g4 is right, h5 is right. This is still winning. Okay, here, don't be greedy. Rook h5 is excellent. Just play rook h2, right? And give up one of these pawns as long as you put the rook in front of it and run. And this is an easy win. Right, guys? Very easy win. But, okay, this one required calculation. You can't just like give up a pawn with no calculation. Once you see that rook is here and the king comes then, yeah, king and pawn endgame, you don't need to calculate. Easy win. Okay, so yeah, this is probably the first major difference. Then I think here, objectively, it's still a win. Rook e5, sure, why not? g5 is fine. King b4, yeah, king b4 was much simpler win, I think, right? And if rook a1, the problem is like this a pawn is not going anywhere. You just go with the king. Now you keep pushing. As long as you play king a3, it should be an easy win. Yeah, so this is another trivial win. And now that white inserted this move, rook f6, now all of the winning chances are gone. The non-trivial win that I showed you was rook f8, rook a8, but okay, good luck. In time pressure, even GMs will not find that. Already this position, I'd say, I don't care what the objective eval is in practical terms, black already did the maximum they can do. So you can say, okay, black got lucky, right? Well, hold on a second. We're talking about practical defensive chess. Sometimes you get lucky but you have to use every single opportunity, right? Black did that by getting the pawn to a3, number one. Number two, black was patient for white to open up a file. And number three, very important, black was not afraid to sacrifice the second pawn. A lot of you are afraid to give up pawns in chess, but in this rook and pawn endgame, black gave up 2 pawns, and that ultimately made white made a mistake. And that's how the draw was achieved. All right, so good lessons from this endgame, practical lessons. Let's go to the next example. Okay, let's look at that. Same student, same tournament, same situation, pawn down. Now the presence of 2 rooks and knights makes this a little bit different than the previous example. But honestly, the concepts are all the same. Okay? The concepts are the same. White is simply a pawn up. Well, here's the extra pawn. So my question to everyone is, it's black's turn. Give me an eval, just like I did with the previous one. Basically, like, you know, who is better and why. Like, if white is better, by how much better? Is white winning? And such like that. All right. So go ahead. He had a crazy game. Oh, yeah, I remember. He did have a crazy game against Luke. +1. +1 is such a non-committal answer. It doesn't tell me that white has more winning chances, that black has drawing chances, or white is winning, or it's closer to a draw. +1 is a very engine-like answer. Give me more like human answer than +1. Also, I don't understand. What does it +1.3 means? +1.3, what does it mean? Like, is white gonna win the game, or is it what? It's like a random number. We know white's better. That's not news to me. All right, there you go. Okay, somebody says, I know with accurate play, white is +2. Or in other words, he is saying white is winning, but black has chances to defend. So I would say 0.8, white is better. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. Somebody's actually thinking. White is practically winning. Wow, that's a strong statement right there. White is a little better. Black has 0 winning chances, and white is winning with best play. Human-wise, is practically pushable. Not sure what pushable means. Probably drawish, I mean, or good draw, good drawing chances. All right, so that's good. So at least I want you to keep thinking, like, you know, maybe there's an objective eval, but really we care about practical evals. Remember, the title here is Practical Endgames. All right, so here's my take on this. It's black's turn. Remember what I said? It's very important whose turn it is. It is absolutely essential for black to generate counterplay. If black can generate counterplay, black has enough chances to survive. If black doesn't do anything, white will slowly convert the pawn. In this one, timing is important. In the previous one, black was just waiting for white to convert, right? And eventually got chances. This one, we have to act quickly. Okay, and the move here that I really like is King G6. The plan is to do this, this, and this. All of a sudden, the presence of 2 rooks and a knight make this a pawn a little irrelevant. The action is happening on this side of the board. So I would say that practically speaking, black has excellent chances to draw. I would say more drawish than white has chances to win because of the active play. Can he stop losing the pawn in the first place? Yep. Well, we all get sometimes into bad positions, right? Of course, it's good to only get advantages and always, be better, but chess doesn't work like that. Like that, sometimes you have to defend. And the theme here is active defense. He likes defending. All right, so let's focus, guys. Focus on this position. White is playing a very smart move here, actually. After a3, white frees this knight. And now, if black plays this move f5, which actually black correctly played knight e4, black realized that, wait a second, this knight is actually will be redirected to e5, where it could give me a pretty serious headache. Okay, so again, you can't just blindly execute your plan with g4. You have to anticipate, can white try to get counterplay? So this f5, right, the drawback of f5 is obvious. We give up e5 square. So I love black's next move, knight e4, anticipating that at some point this knight will need to enter the fight, which happens here, and black just trades it off. And your natural response to that, well, what are you doing? You are pawn down. Why are you trading knights? Right? Wouldn't that be your natural response? You shouldn't be trading when you're down. Is he master? Yeah, he used to be over 2200. So yeah, I don't know if he was like officially master title. Yeah, maybe CM. I'm not sure if he's officially NM, by the way, because I think to get NM you have to get like some like maybe over 2200. You have to play a certain number of games or something like that. But he definitely hit 2200, so maybe that qualifies as NM. All right, so let's focus, guys. All right, so now that the knights are gone, this king is more vulnerable. The knight is not coming to e5. Black simply executes the plan. Very simple plan. Is that FIDE rating? I think so, yeah. f5, a4, king h5, a5. White is not quite sensing that, you know what, this stuff here is not going anywhere. The action is going to happen over here. White is not afraid, but g4. All of a sudden, things are very, very difficult. Black is getting tremendous counterplay. Okay, and now this would be suicidal. Remember I said the presence of the two rooks makes the attack much stronger. Yeah, so white definitely played king e2 here. He didn't walk into king f4 mate. Okay, let's be realistic here. White is a strong player. Okay, how would you continue here as black, guys? How would you continue your counterplay? Okay, a few of you are actually pointing the right idea. All right, good job, guys. Focus on the game, please. I don't care about ratings. Focus on the game. So the counterplay is, of course, f4. Very easy. Rook b3, white defends. And now check this out, guys. f3, out of nowhere, black sacks another pawn. Well, it's only temporarily, because we're going to take this h pawn. All of a sudden, these pawns are a big headache for the rook. So rook c1, white needs to deal with those pawns. Rook takes pawn, rook h1. And I love what black did next. All right, can you try to guess black's next move? The next sequence of moves is absolutely perfect. Maximum activity, guys. You got to activate your rooks to the maximum. Imagine where these rooks want to go and make it happen. Okay, so focus, take your time. Imagine where the rooks want to go. All right, Andrew showed it to everyone. You want your rooks to be on the back rank, ideally, of white. How did black execute this plan? All right, people are getting this right. Good job, guys. The first move is, of course, h2. White has to deal with this pawn. Sooner or later, white has to take it. That's an annoying pawn. Well, white just took it. Well, thank you for the back rank, but we're not done yet. White says, I'm going to play rook c3. This is kind of a random move. I don't really like that move. And immediately black seizes an opportunity and says, yay, I need to get my rook back rank. Rook g7, e4. All right. White kind of plays the next move carelessly. Already, I don't think white has any chances to win this game, by the way. And now, what did black play after e takes d5? All right, I see a lot of people are getting this right. Don't autopilot take. This would be unnecessary because you can do better than that. Oopsies. How do you stop checkmate in one? Well, luckily, white is not lost. Otherwise, it could be bad news. Yes. So white can escape. So white says, okay, I've had enough of this. I'm going to make a run for it. And in the meantime, I'm going to give up all my pawns. All of a sudden, I think it's time for black to play for a win, honestly. But in this game, already black used up so much energy and he was in time pressure that he simply took the draw. I can't blame him. You know, when you guys don't have much energy left to play for a win, this is tough. But if anyone playing for a win, it's black. Again, the huge turnaround. Yeah, this is slightly annoying. That's right. Let's go back again and try to understand how all of this happened. It looks like a very clean up pawn position. King g6, a3. Recognizing this knight wants to enter the game, f5 allows this. Knight e4. Trading the knights, f5. All of a sudden, we have a clear plan. Here, here, king here, f4. And there's not much white can do about this plan. And unfortunately, for white, the game is closer to a draw. Okay, I can turn my engine on. Yep, Stockfish already says it's a draw. 0.3, 0.4, that's negligible. So this is already a draw. And that's it. Excellent play. And this part is really well played. Maximum efficiency for the rooks. This takes this and brings the rook over. Is the end winning? I don't know if winning. Let's see. Black is just better. No, black was never winning. Black is better. I felt like black is better, but it's probably objectively closer to a draw. Yeah, so a draw is not a bad result. So we already see two excellent examples of practical play. In both of these cases, black did not, play passive chess, right? Black always had activity in the back of his mind. The first game, he just waited for the opportunity to get the rook to win the a2 pawn. In the second game, he immediately went for this counterplay on the king side, an important moment that he did get to trade the knights too. So let's move on to another example. Now, this one is slightly different. This is actually from a puzzle. And this puzzle, believe it or not, is wrong because it says white to play, and probably you assume white to play and win. But black can actually save this game after white's best move. So first, try to figure out white's best move, and then see if you can actually defend for black. So white to play is the puzzle. And this is from a great book, by the way, Imagination in Chess. So this book clearly was not properly checked with an engine. I mean, it was written before the modern engines. Engines were weak. You did this book 2 times. Oh my God. So you probably know the, do you know that this puzzle is flowed, by the way? Oh yeah, this is definitely one of the earlier ones. So it looks like there's a very easy win for white. So first, try to find the easy win for white, and then we'll find, again, practical defense. By the way, the GM that was playing black did not find the defense, and he lost. All right, so focus, guys, on this puzzle, which is a float puzzle. Everybody's saying c7. I don't know why. What if I just play knight takes c7? Queen takes f7, king h7. Yeah. Why are you guys saying c7? I just take, queen takes, king h7. It looks dangerous, right? But after queen h5, king g8, I don't see any problems. My queen is actually threatening to enter d1, d5 squares. Knight d7 also doesn't look very threatening after knight c7. So knight d7, knight c7, I don't see any major problems for black. I don't know about that. You did the book twice, and you're saying knight takes f7, king f7, c7, queen takes, king somewhere, queen takes a5. That's not winning. I can take on f4. I can give you perpetual check. Nope. Much simpler. You're actually tripping. All right, so this is a tough one. So, okay, one person found the right idea. Okay, the other person is also, yeah, so let's give you a hint. This knight and the queen can be exploited with a simple pin, queen d4. All right. Basically, the solution says this, this. Okay, and then white just wins, resigns. But what did I teach you? The first two examples, never give up, right? Don't despair. Let's look for counterplay. Never give up, guys. Find the mechanism how black saves the game. As a matter of fact, black should put pressure on white to save the game. It's white who will have to fight for the draw. Queen b6, queen takes d5, queen f2. No, you must be kidding me, right? I don't think you can. There's always going to be queen f3 at the end, right? No, that can't work. There's really only one move, right, guys? If this move doesn't work, you're toast. You can't allow c7. By method of elimination, it has to be a4. Okay, keep going. Pawn takes, we're not done. b3, good job. Okay. All of a sudden, this b pawn is quite annoying. c7, the line continues. Keep rolling. Takes. Right, takes. And then it looks like black is lost the piece. But hey, we've got the b pawn. b2. All of a sudden, white is facing some serious issues. How do you deal with this check and knight queen? Uh-oh. Right? You can stop b1 queen, but queen c1 and b1 you cannot stop. So what does white do now, guys? Queen a8, king h7, queen e4, I play g6. You still can't stop queen c1. You may even lose now, by the way. You have to be careful. It is objectively a draw, yeah. The simplest one is this. You allow two queens. Check, queen. But, of course, it's just an easy perpetual. King h7 or king h8, doesn't matter. Check here. So that is called a float puzzle. Well, in a practical game, the GM did not use the opportunity with this a4 move. Again, the lesson here is just like in the Jeff game with the pawn on a3 and the rook and pawn endgame, we have a passer. Take advantage of it. You're going to lose a piece. That's okay. But that pawn on b2 is really, really dangerous. You guys are waiting for another Jeff example. No, I'll give you an Eugene example, my own example. Okay, let's go back. So I am playing black against a strong grandmaster who unfortunately passed away, Alex Vaitkevich. You probably have never even heard of him. You want Jeff? I'll give you more Jeff, guys, next time. But let's focus on this one. I'm completely outplayed, right? We already see passive rook here, active king. This pawn is a goner. Many people just resign, right? You lose e5, it's game over. h5 is fallen, everything is fallen. But never give up, right? Never give up. Let's focus, guys. How can we play practically here to stay in the game? Of course, we lost, right, objectively, but we want to give ourselves some practical chances here. Okay, focus, guys. Focus on this one. So black to play. We need to, obviously we're getting outplayed, we're losing, but let's come up with some practical chances to stay alive. All right, so use all the tricks that you've learned up to now. What is the most important thing in Rook and Pawn endgames? All right, I think people are getting closer. The answer is activity. Active Rook. Activity, yes, good job. So now what did I play here? I simply played Rook check. Now, if king goes to c3, maybe I can play Rook b5, Rook a5. My opponent played King c4. Okay, good job if you said Rook b8. Now, what's next? We follow through with the same concept. Active Rook, Rook b2. It's much better to play Rook b2 than Rook b1 because Rook b1, they're going to take all your pawns. So at least you want to win some pawns back. At this point, this is a 4 sequence. Takes, King d3, intermezzo, so that the h5 pawn is about to fall. Here, and Rook takes. Uh-oh, I'm now down 2 pawns. But one important element that I have for me is active Rook. Active Rook and this f pawn. Now, what did I play next, guys? I'm still objectively losing, but I want to create some practical problems. How did I do it? Let's give people a chance to think. Rook h2. Not sure how Rook h2 is helping me. King d6. Not for sure how King d6 is helping me either. Remember what we need to do. We need to cut off our opponent's king from being active, right? You don't want your opponent's king to be active. So what did I do here? Rook a3. Oh yeah, you want to make a run for it? Be my guest. I have another check ready for you. Uh-oh. The king has to go full passive mode. Check. Well, white doesn't want to draw. White doesn't want to go king d3. King e1. Okay, part 1 is done. I've cut the king off. Unfortunately, though, guys, I'm still probably losing. But at least I made it very hard for my opponent, right? Okay, now I played here. And white has 2 logical moves here. One move that he played actually was a big mistake. After that, the game is drawn. If he would have played a different move, white is still winning with accurate play. So there's one move that wins and one move that draws. And both of them are pretty logical. Let's see. Okay, what you guys are going to try to guess here. All right, so most people, I think, are getting this one right. So the move that wins is active king. Remember, I cut the king off. So king activity wins. King wants to go to f3. If I take king f3 and this. And the funny part is, white doesn't even care about this pawn. White just gonna push the pawns. And if I try to go behind it, there's this pawn. Too many pawns to deal with, and the f pawn is useless. Now, the move that my opponent played was e5. Also looks like a logical move because, well, he's basically saying you have to take the pawn. I'm simply going to walk with my king. Well, here we go, guys. I take king f2. Looks like an easy win, doesn't it? He's just going to go bam, bam, win the pawn, and rook f5 and run the h-pawn. But rook a3 is the move that my opponent underestimated. All of a sudden, these two pawns are not doing much because my king is very close. This is already a draw. You can say, oh, but you got lucky. Well, when you draw a lot of games from lost positions, you can say you got lucky, or you can say you fought back and you used your chances. And now rook f5. I played king here. Rook takes. I'm still down 2 pawns, but with the king cut off and this rook being stuck, this is an easy draw. Rook e4, and I'm basically just playing here. Can we have some endgames where somebody wins? Well, the point of this lecture is practical defense, right? So first, let's try to defend lost positions. After that, maybe we can win. All right, so now you can already sense that things are not going well. My opponent was, by the way, very upset. He knew he was winning, and he didn't quite understand where he went wrong. Again, it's one of those things where you just create enough little problems that at one point they would have to play very accurately, and if they don't, you may make a draw. Okay, now the game is drawn. Obviously, I am in the square of this pawn, so this is an easy draw, right? I'm inside the square, and this king is far away. You stalemated a 1400 up a queen and rook, and oh man, that's not good. All right, so that's the theme. So let me show you one last example where dogmatic thinking, where sometimes you have to be passive than active, right? Because you can say, oh yeah, it's easy. You just have to be active. Well, even experienced grandmasters can get this wrong. Here's an example. This is from a game by a grandmaster who's got a very interesting history. He is, yeah, the names are not listed here, but it was Grandmaster Tarjan from the West Coast. I think he's from Oregon State, if I'm not, and he's playing black, and he messed up. He played a very logical move. Okay, so this is a very difficult one. So I'm not gonna like test you too much. If you get this one wrong, that's okay. 9 out of 10 times, you put the rook behind the pass pawn. You played James Tarjan. He actually beat Kramnik, right? If I remember correctly, in 2017 Isle of Man. So what's the most natural move in the world? Okay, guys, the most natural is rook a3. Unfortunately, this move is a mistake. Okay? This is a mistake. I'll show you why this is a mistake first. This is how the game proceeds naturally. So black is doing everything by the book. The problem, though, is this king is cut off, and this king is going to get active. And black is completely busted, guys. He tries his last trick, and it works like a charm. FG, uh-oh. Wrong way to take. And now it's a draw. You can't make progress as white. The game ends in a draw. Let me go back. Of course, the easy win here is HG. H4, rook H7. And then you just activate the king, right? You pick up this pawn, and then this pawn is pretty much gone. All right, let's go back to the original position. So again, very strong, experienced grandmaster, right? Who's been playing chess probably for more years than you guys are alive. He got this wrong. He played the most logical move in the world. Let me show you the right setup. The right move is either rook d3 with the immediate idea to put rook on d5, right? So this is kind of the goal. And the king cannot cross, right? Cannot cross this side. And you just keep your eye on that pawn. Easy draw. So another way to draw this is rook b4. And you kind of wait a little bit, check, and then you go back to the same plan with rook d5. Fundamentally, this is the defensive mechanism. It's a very passive mechanism, but it works because of the way the pawn structure is configured. You just have to keep an eye on that pawn. Very difficult drawing mechanism. But once you've learned it, you realize this one works and the rook a3 does not. Because fundamentally, the problem with rook a3 is that king, sooner or later, right, is going to get active with the a pawn. Whereas the rook on d5, when you keep an eye on that pawn on a5 and cuts the king off, it's a drawing mechanism. The king can't make progress. And if you put the pawn here, you put the rook there. And if check, king there, pawn there, you put the rook here. As long as the rook keeps an eye on that one, it cuts the king off, it's a dead draw. All right. So now, told you that this is not so simple, yet you have to always fight, especially in these endgames. So this is the lesson from today, is first of all, don't despair when you blunder a pawn or mess up, because at the end game, you can get chances. Even if you have objectively lost endgames, always try to fight for those mechanisms where you get a passed pawn or active rook or active king, or cut your opponent's king off. And then at some point with this kind of defense, your opponent will have to find very precise moves. And if they don't, you will save the game. All right, guys. Thank you. Good luck. Bye, everyone.